Alright, welcome back to the Coach Bauman channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to build a wedge game. More or less how to build a clock system. All that you're going to need to do this are your 3 or 4 wedges that you have in your bag, some golf balls, an alignment stick, and a place to practice. That place to practice, whether it's in a simulator or outdoors, doesn't really matter. Now the whole concept behind a clock system is that you know exactly where to take that wedge back to hit it the desired distance. We're going to make sure that you know how to build that properly. Whichever wedge you are most comfortable with, let's just go ahead and grab that one. We'll start there. For myself personally, I'll be starting with a lob wedge, or my 60 degree. Now I've positioned my buckets out there at 50, 60, and 70 yards. And that's what we're going to be doing. We will be training in 10-yard increments. That'll make more sense in a little bit. The beautiful thing about this system is that if you learn it with one wedge, you'll know exactly how to transfer it to the other wedges. Again, we will talk about that more in just a minute. Before we start hitting shots, let's make sure that we're addressing it appropriately. For most stock and standard wedge shots, we are going to play them from the middle of our stance. If you tend to push it slightly back or slightly forward from there, it's no big deal. Favor the center if you can. Our stance isn't going to be that wide. We're not looking to hit this 300 yards like our driver. We're looking to hit this a very specific distance. So the outsides of your feet, most of the time, unless we're hitting some specialty shot, are going to be underneath your shoulders, if not even a little bit inside of them. Once you've addressed it, we're going to have our weight neutral. If you need to favor one way or another, favor slightly towards the lead side. Then out of the shaft itself, we need this pointed somewhere between your belt buckle or your lead hip socket. Anything in that gap, you're going to be just fine. But we are not throwing it way up here and treating it like a sledgehammer. And if you've got the shaft back, either at address or setup, you probably hit it straight up in the air and it goes nowhere. So don't do that either. If you are brand new to this, I don't want you to have a specific distance in mind yet. We're going to find it. And it's going to be different for everybody depending on which club you're using, your swing speed, your strength, all of that stuff. But we can still make it relative. We're going to start with the ball position in the center of our stance and our feet somewhat narrow, at least inside our shoulders. We'll learn all the fancy shots later. Now again, we don't have a specific yardage in mind yet. We're just going to see how far you hit this first style of shot. Your whole goal is, with limited wrist hinge from that stance, how far is your ball going to fly from halfway back to halfway through. While you are doing this, we are trying to find a tempo that you can repeat. For some people, it's going to be quicker. For some people, it's going to be slower. You have to find which one works for you. Now, I know, because I've done this a lot, that my half swing, half back, half forwards with a lob wedge flies 50 yards practically every time. That half swing is going to become your 9 o'clock position. If that's too much to think about, we'll just label it your half swing. So the next time you get to go to the course or the simulator, throw the ball in the center of your stance, feet somewhat narrow, halfway back, halfway through. We're just going to see how far that goes. Now you're not going to do that once or twice. You're going to do that a lot. I'm sorry, but it takes some practice. Once you start to get an idea of how far that flies, again, it might be only 30 yards for some people, it might be 60 or 70 for others. Once you got an idea of how far that's going to fly, then you're going to track it, which is why I have those barrels out there. So that first blue barrel's 50 yards. If I take this halfway back and halfway through with my lob wedge with reasonable tempo, it should land right at 50 yards. And you got to get to the point where every single time you grab this club and you want to put it to 9 o'clock or your half swing, you can do it. A lot of times when I'm out on the course or even practice, I will give it a pump fake back just to remind myself where that position is. Now here's the key. If you were to take a video of yourself and you look at it and you're like, oh, that's not exactly at 9 o'clock, that's a little bit past it. It doesn't really matter. Where is 9 o'clock for you? Where is that half swing position for you? Because that's where we will build everything off of. So if you're one of those people where your half swing's a little bit more up here, we don't really care. That's totally okay. We can build off of it. Or if you're one of those people where your half swing's way down here, again, we don't really care. We can build off of it. We just have to be able to find that spot that we can repeat. It's somewhere around half. So if I take it halfway back with full wrist hinge, this is my 9 o'clock with hinge. This position for me flies 60 yards with my lob wedge. So that's the next one we're going to train. I've got my second barrel out there, the red one. If I put this at 9 o'clock with hinge, from the middle ball position, somewhat narrow stance, this golf ball should fly 60 yards practically every time. Again, you're still just trying to find that tempo that works for you. We don't want to get into the habit of not knowing our tempo, and here's why. Because I can put it in that same exact location and rip through it, and all of a sudden it's going to go 80, maybe 90 yards. Tempo is a huge part to all of this, or vice versa if you hit it too soft. After that 9 o'clock with hinge, the next positions are 9:10, 9:20, 9:30. If you hate thinking about the clock and those positions are too small and there's not enough room in between them, you can make this clock system relative to your body. Go belt line with hinge, rib cage, pec, shoulder. Doesn't matter as long as it's the same location that you can get to every single time. One of the biggest things I can recommend is when you are training your wedges, we're not going to really take it past that 3/4 position. With lob wedge, sand wedge, and gap wedge, the better you get, the harder spin control becomes. Spin control becomes difficult when you're putting too big of a swing on your wedges. I promise that 3/4 spot will be plenty far for you to get in and out of almost every single shot. Keep that full swing, that 100% power tucked back here in your back pocket for when you got to launch it over a tree or pull off a hero shot. But from the center of the fairway, going 100% at a lob wedge, generally speaking, really bad idea. Back to the 10-minute increments or that body position increment. You have to find that spot on the clock or relative to your body with the same tempo that produces 10-yard increments. Now that's going to matter here with what I explained to you next. The beautiful part is there's a lot of engineer and design in these wedges, and they're designed a very specific way, and there's 4 degrees of loft difference on a normal set of wedges between each wedge. 4 degrees of loft difference equals roughly 10 yards, give or take. So if I have a 9 o'clock swing with a lob wedge that goes 50 yards, that means I can put the same exact swing on a sand wedge and it goes 60, and the same exact swing on a gap wedge and it goes 70 without having to change anything. So with that one style swing, now I've got 3 different yardages or 3 different options. That will hold true almost all the way through that 3/4 gap wedge swing. If you train this system with one wedge, you cover every single wedge. You just have to know where that position is and where the tempo is, and now you know. For instance, let's say that we have an 80-yard shot. That is 9:20 on my clock with a lob wedge. Depending on course conditions and pin locations and weather, now we've got options. I can go 9:20 with my lob wedge, I can go 9:10 with my sand wedge, or I can go 9 o'clock with hinge with my gap wedge. All 3 of those swings will go 80 yards. So if I need no spin, I'm going to do it with my gap wedge. If I need the ball to be flighted a little bit with some spin, I'm going to use my sand wedge. If I need the ball to come in high and soft with a lot of spin, I'm going to use my lob wedge. Once you train it with one, you can bounce up and down those 10-yard increments pretty easily. For example, I'll hit a ball at every single one of these barrels with the same exact swing, but just change my club. So if I go 9 o'clock with lob wedge, it should go to this blue barrel 50 yards, keeping my tempo. Pretty close. If I keep the same swing and same tempo with my sand wedge, this ball should naturally fly to the red barrel. Not bad, little long. And if I keep the same swing and the same tempo with my gap wedge, I should get this to the black barrel, if not a little bit past it. When you get your wedges to start overlapping like that, you're going to have all the options in the world to get to the different pins. Build the clock system off of a half swing first, then a half swing with hinge, then little increments up from there, keeping that tempo. Your spin will start to become consistent, your distances will start to become consistent, your flight will become consistent, life will get a lot easier. Half swings first. Figure out how far that goes for you, build it from there. I want to sincerely thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe for more. Click that notification bell down there in the bottom. Let me know what you want to talk about next.